3, 2, 1.
What is going on, Southwest ISD? We are back in 2023. Look at that, I'm rhyming over here, man. But hey, listen, we are in a new year. It is Scoreboard nonetheless. I'm your man, Brandon Medina. I have Mr. Peter Wagner, your athletic director of sports and entertainment as well. The man's an entertainer now on the podcast. And so, Mr. Peter Wagner, welcome to the show again, sir.
Thank you for having me, as always, sir.
Telling you, it's a new year. Not much has changed except for the fact that we are now underway completely with soccer and basketball. We kind of ended 2023 mentioning that was coming up. Soccer, which we'll get into later, just had their first game for Southwest, and it was a absolute destroyer of a game. But we also are introducing diving, of course, at the Aquatic Center. We have a swimming and diving meet we'll talk about. We'll talk about the year in sports for Southwest ISD. Again, it is a new year. We're excited to be with you. Thank you for tuning into Scoreboard and making it your number one podcast for all things Southwest ISD athletics. Let's start off, Mr. Wagner, with 2022, right? You as the athletic director, what did you think about the year as a whole of 2022? Where do you think we can grow?
Well, I think if you take, we're talking about soccer, but you end it kind of with soccer as well in terms of how all four teams made the playoffs last year.
Yep.
You know, we had the boys at Southwest are a perennial powerhouse in terms of in the state and growing. You know, Legacy is up and coming, both boys and girls. And then the girls team is right there with everybody else. I mean, they're 28-0 last year in district between the boys and girls at Southwest. So that was a good thing. We had great things going on in track. Had some kids make the regional finals and things like that in track, and then we turned that around into the summer and got better. And you know, you look at the both football programs are continuing their streaks.
Yep.
You know, after one season of just missing it, Legacy's now on year 3, I think, of making it out of 4 years playing.
And year 17
varsity,
or whatever for Southwest.
And the 17th year at Southwest High School. So big things there. I think moving out of the fall, you know, you had Legacy going to state and cross country for the first time in SWISD history. You know, I was talking to Coach Arguello about Anthony's accomplishment, what people don't maybe not understand. I think he got 13th in 5A. If it was any other classification, 6A, 5A, 2A, he would have won every lowest classification, and he would actually got 5th in 6A.
Wow.
And so all the stud runners were in 5A. But, you know, that was really neat. And then you had the, you know, Southwest High School right now is on a run that every team has made the playoffs so far this year, from volleyball, that's getting ahead of myself, but volleyball, football, water polo.
Yep.
The cross country team took the whole team to regionals. The team tennis went to the playoffs, and so they're off to a roaring start. And you know, the both boys basketball teams are both 2-0 right now in district. So we're at both Legacy and Southwest. So they're really getting it going.
So where can we kind of improve, do you think, Peter, as far as like what sport do you think we're right on the cusp of starting to figure it out, or what area do you think the district can improve on? Maybe it's, you know, water polo is our first year. There's obviously going to be some improvement in year 2. Or what specific sport, school, whatever the case, do you think we can show some more improvement in 2023?
You know, probably a not, I don't share it a lot, but a mission of mine is the improvement is I feel like our systems are somewhat in place at the high school, middle school level for the most part. It's going to be more of this day and age to be able to keep up with the people who maybe are a little more socioeconomically advanced, that we need to figure out ways to help our kids be involved more on a year-round basis if we're going to take the next step from soccer, playing for state championships, to basketball, baseball, softball, and things like that. In order to compete in this day and age, we're going to have to get our kids playing. And I guess I came into this with this may have been on my agenda a little bit to talk just a little bit about it. I know we're talking about some things coming up in the next couple of podcasts maybe that this might go into.
Yep.
But I think for the new year, an improvement is how do we as a district from leadership down to myself and our coaches, how do we get our kids involved in playing, not necessarily year-round, but playing it? You can't just get it done, and it's no longer like it was in the 20th century where you show up to basketball practice and you play basketball from October to the beginning of March.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're not going to win. Not a lot. The people are just playing higher level skill. You take Anthony again, our cross country runner. What the difference between the year before when he was doing good things to this year where he went to state, he ran AAU all summer. He went to nationals in AAU and ran with the studs, and then found out that at nationals that holy moly, I gotta turn it up.
Yeah, there's some work.
You know, and so there's some investment that's gonna have to be done between our school district to a certain degree, but our families and our kids. That's where the next level is, and then how do we do that? Because I watched a great couple of shows. I think it was 60 Minutes or something about club sports, though, you know, and how the lower socioeconomic people are being priced out of club sports.
Yep.
And how is that fair? You know what I mean? And so the beauty of Southwest ISD is how much we take care of our families and how we understand where they're coming from, and then innovate ways to do that. And I want to be at the head of that for our families, for our coaches, and how do we innovate those ways? That's the way to improve. That's whether it be from a team like the Southwest High School soccer program that competes with the top in the state to, you talk about a team that I'm looking at. You look at the Southwest girls, the volleyball team this year, kind of struggled for a couple of years. This year they had 2 or 3 seniors that really brought it.
Yep. That
they stepped up. They've been building it. I see that both in both girls programs, basketball programs at Southwest and at Legacy with Coach Lyra and Coach Hernandez. I think that's the next step. What I'm trying to do is build a system and put a system in place in all of our sports that kids start young. They play a lot. They figure it out. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. And there's a very interesting gray area there, and I'll stop after this, is that we want our kids playing multiple sports.
Yeah.
But there comes a point where you should be able to play some, but you're going to have to figure out to be the best at something. You're going to have to give a little bit of focus, but we don't. And I'll give you two great examples, and one is very personal to me. My daughter played volleyball. She played, she ran track, and she holds a pole vault record, things like that. And then she played softball, playing softball in college right now. But she played club softball because that's what she wanted to do. The beauty of Southwest ISD is that we're going to let you do all of those things, but we also understand where you're at. Coach Olendike, a long time ago, name from the past, we used to say, we had Aaron Kelly, who ran a 47 quarter and ran for the University of Texas. And we used to say, are you Aaron, or we'd ask a lot of these kids that played multiple sports, are you a track guy that plays basketball, or are you a basketball guy that plays track? Mm-hmm. And now that that helped us figure out where the decisions needed to lie for that kid. And so we're about that stuff. And I'll give you one example that's happening now. You have 2 first-team all-district volleyball players that are playing basketball right now for the Dragons in girls basketball that are doing those things. They're playing club volleyball too. So there's a lot of things that our kids are sacrificing to have that experience that you're only going to get for 4 years in your life, as you and I know.
Yep.
And so we want them to have all of that. But in everything other than football, if you're not playing club sports, it's really hard to find a college that you're going to be able to go to unless you're just Destiny Hooker or Marchevette Hooker. Or
Yeah, where
somebody.
you're just a once in a lifetime, player
Correct.
for the district. But I think also, and we'll kind of jump into it now since you went on that and talked a little bit about the different intangibles that go into it. I think let's reel it back a little bit and talk more. We'll talk soccer and basketball in a little bit. I want to just make sure we highlight that we do have our aquatic center is going to be hosting some big events in the future. I think 2 in February, 1 in late January is what I have on my calendar so far that we have. But I know we have some swim meets and diving for the first time at the aquatic center. Talk about how you talk about your experience, I guess, kind of leading that charge in 2022 with the new aquatic center and kind of what you guys are looking forward to in 2023, having more meets and having swimming finally there for the first time, diving, all that good stuff. I know we're hosting big 5A stuff there too. So how does that feel?
So about 10 months ago, 12 months ago, when Coach Rodriguez and I were our aquatics director were trying to figure these things out, we're like, we got this amazing facility, we need to show it off. So we talked to the UIL and we were able to. Obviously, we're going to host our district meet because we're one of the only ones that has a pool.
Yep.
And so that's at the end of January that we'll be doing that. But the other thing, like we hosted the 6A regional water polo tournament. We're going to host the 4A regional swim and dive meet. Then we'll turn around in February again, in early February, and host the 5A regional swimming and diving meet as well. And so that's really neat.
It is awesome.
And so we're gonna do that. It's fun. It's a little bit hectic. A little bit. Luckily, I'm just the guy that gets to shake hands and stuff for the most part. I got great people that work for us that do those things. But we're really excited about that. We're bringing in some. I know we have a national water polo tournament coming in March.
Wow.
A lot of the USA water polo type stuff from around the country will be here to be a part of that in San Antonio sports. And so we're working on all those kinds of things, bringing in club water polo and stuff like that. Again, like I got done ranting about, but it's pretty neat thing, and then we're still getting ready for summer because we haven't had a summer at the aquatic center. So there's all kinds of things we're trying to bring to the community this summer with it.
I think it's a huge opportunity just to highlight what Southwest ISD is all about, the mission statement, the students and families, and like you said, I didn't know about the USA water polo stuff happening. That's awesome. But I think on a national level, now we're talking about something that's really going to create ripples and change, waves, if you will, since we're talking aquatic center, waves in the city of San Antonio, just because that, to my knowledge, would be one of the first times you've ever seen a national, specifically water polo, come and be a part of something like that. So that's great. But going back to, and again, we'll be updating you guys, listeners of Scoreboard, with more aquatic center information, especially for the summer stuff. I know we've had a ton of questions about when is it going to be open, possibly to the public or classes and stuff. All that stuff is happening, I know, here and there.
And with all of that, I will say this. If you're listening to this and you are able, we need lifeguards. None of this stuff that everybody wants to happen happens without lifeguards. That's true. And just like everybody else that's having a hard time finding workers, more than well over half of the pools in San Antonio proper and in the city of San Antonio were closed last year because they couldn't find lifeguards. And so we're looking for lifeguards. We need a lot of them to be open that much. Yeah. And so looking for lifeguards, you can apply. Call the aquatic center. We'll get you figured out. We got part-time, and then we'll have temp people for the summer and stuff like that. So get your hours. So we're
not trying to pull anybody, but it is a nice facility to work at if you want to go be a lifeguard.
You can go be a lifeguard and not get sunburned all day long.
There you go. It's a perfect mix. But you talked about club teams, and I think if you're a sports lover, whether you're an NFL fan, an NBA fan, the sport that I think is the most popular, I wouldn't say maybe in the country, but I think around the world, for club teams and for extracurricular activities outside of just the season, would be soccer. And it's a sport that is so unique in the fact that there is no NFL draft, there is no NBA draft. A Southwest ISD student could show out and maybe not go to the MLS, but could play in Poland and could play in Russia and could play.
We have two doing that right now.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and that's what I mean. There's opportunities. There's there's opportunities that are more than meets the eye. You know what I mean? There is not a strict ladder of movement in soccer the way there is in the NFL and the NBA, where you have to go to XYZ college and then show out there to then go to one league, right? The NFL, the NBA. There's a ton of leagues, a ton of opportunity, and if you're willing to put in the work, it sounds easier said than done, of course, but I feel like there's a lot more opportunity for advancement than any other sport probably in anywhere in the world. And so I know there's talks being done in the community and stuff to hopefully advance that. But speaking of soccer, Southwest High School, you said, obviously a powerhouse here in San Antonio and looking into the state. First game of the season, 7-0 against Brackenridge. Is that kind of what you were expecting, or is that obviously exceeding expectations? I mean, we're not going to be doing 7-0 every game, but that's a very, very high-scoring game for a high school soccer game, at least.
I don't know that I was surprised. I mean, and depending on who we play, our soccer teams are pretty darn good.
Yeah, they are.
And so we've had to have some conversations sometimes about, hey, we don't need to score 10 points, 10 goals on people and stuff like that. We need to work on some things. And so, am I surprised? No. I think what's coming up this week is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Because both the boys teams, Legacy and Southwest, will be going to Georgetown this weekend, which is a very prestigious tournament that we got invited to. And we'll see how they're playing teams from Round Rock and all over the state.
Yeah, I know Pflugerville, I think, is going against Southwest.
So it'll be a little bit, but I think a more telling, interesting one was that last year we played Alamo Heights we scrimmaged them, and I think we beat them 1-0 or 2-1, something like that. I think we beat them, and probably Chief Palomo will correct me, but I think it was I think we beat them 3-0. Beat Alamo Heights. Now Alamo Heights was a team that just lost to Georgetown, who beat us at the very last minute last year, who lost in the second or third round. All teams that a play here, a play there, and you're on to the next round to all the way to the state championship.
Yeah.
And we were all in those conversations, and I think they won 3-0. I think this last right before the break.
Yeah, I will say a pillar of Southwest ISD and a guy that we all love and know is Chief Palomo over there at Southwest the police department. And man,
he is
this is the soccer
dude.
aficionado over here at Southwest ISD.
Yes,
I had no idea, but I know Chief's been hounding me. So Chief, if you're listening, which I know for a fact you will when you see this come out, we want to put a big shout out to Southwest and Legacy. I know Legacy hasn't had a game yet as far as the soccer program, but they will be facing Huntsville. This podcast is being recorded on Wednesday. They face Huntsville tomorrow, which would be Thursday. And then, of course, they face Del Valle. And like you said, that tournament in Georgetown is going to be a tough test for teams that realistically probably have never played each other on this level.
Correct.
And they're not familiar with each other's games. So it's a good test of how good are you and how good is the system
and
being
where
put
do you
in
need
place.
to go?
Yeah, where do you need to go? Because those
Yeah.
kids in Del Valle, I'm sure, are going to be really, really good. There's kids that I know, Pflugerville I know is really good. So those Austin clubs and surrounding areas, those are teams that do play club soccer.
A lot.
And those are kids that do have the advantage as far as playing year-round, getting very familiar with the game. But I think it's something that is going to be looked at in the future.
If you look at Southwest right now, the most popular sport is soccer. And I can give you evidence of that in that, we're doing the Under Armour leagues, and in the Under Armour leagues we'll have, by the way, you can sign up for Under Armour flag football. Got to do it before the end of the week, but we'll have about 100, 150 to 200 kids sometimes sign up for flag football. We'll have about 100, 110, maybe. I think we had 190 at one point in time, depending on the season, sign up for basketball. We have 430 sign up for soccer.
Wow.
And that's for grades K through 6. And so it's something that people want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's a big deal.
Well, and like every year, we talked about this last year because it was during that time. There is a massive surge following any FIFA World Cup in the popularity of the game, popularity of the sport. the desire to play. I would not be the least bit surprised. I want to talk to the coaches and see. I'm sure we've had more people trying out than we have maybe in the past 2 years.
We had 75 girls try out at Legacy this year.
Wow.
We only keep 40.
Yeah, I know.
We had somewhere close to 75 to 80 try out at Legacy for the boys. I don't remember all of the Southwest numbers, but they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
And you only keep 40 to 50 kids.
Yeah.
And you really can't get a third. Our district has really been supportive about adding another coach. We're one of the few districts that has 3 soccer coaches on our staffs, so we really appreciate that from everybody. But there's a lot of kids that want to play. Some of that comes with success, but we also need to build the system a little bit more, that our kids come through, that they're ready to go.
Absolutely. And so moving gears into basketball before we get out of the show is, Southwest 2-0, Legacy's doing good in district. Boys. Yeah. And then I know both girls teams are starting to kind of figure things out, struggle a little bit late, but I know they're playing a lot more games.
Yeah.
They started a little earlier than the boys did.
Yeah.
Overall, basketball programs, what are kind of your expectations? I know, like you said, there's some heat on Southwest because everybody's made the playoffs, so everybody's gearing for the same thing. When was the last time we've seen that? Has that happened before quite a bit, as far as like every single team making the playoffs for one school?
I would argue, and I could be wrong, but I would argue the greatest year in Southwest high school history was probably the 2007, 2008, or is it 2008, 2009? It was 2008, 2009 season when football went 3 rounds, volleyball went to the regional tournament, football went to the regional tournament. We had a couple of kids go to regionals, and they didn't have playoff tennis at the time.
Right.
We didn't have water polo,
right?
Things like that. The girls basketball went 2 or 3 rounds with Coach Avey, and then the boys basketball team under Coach Pertel went to. They lost. They beat Judson in the regional semifinals and lost to Wagner in the regional finals. In basketball, we won the only district. The boys won the only district track championship, I think, that year in 2009. And I think we went 2 rounds in baseball and 4 rounds in softball.
Man, this is just
and stuff.
a tough year to beat. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be hard to beat that year, but they're doing good things.
Well, overall, I mean, it's tough to make the playoffs in every single sport, regardless.
There's no doubt.
I mean, it's usually a few are really, really top notch. Yeah. The others are still growing.
But I want to bring it back to the boys basketball team. We had probably the favorite in the district right now is Legacy. They beat McCullum, who's the 2-time probably defending champion.
Wow.
They beat them by 20 the other night and stuff. They beat Southside last night by 15 or 16.
Okay.
And stuff like that.
So 2 big double-digit victories.
Yeah, and so they're probably, and Coach Abbott's been saying it's for a long time, we're going to be good. So, and they played the schedule to, they played multiple. They played the number 1 ranked team in 4A in the state. They played the number 3 ranked team in 4A in the state. They played East Central. They've played Johnson. They've played 2 teams, the Duncanville types, and they played I think they played 2 teams out of Houston and stuff so they've been tested and ready to roll there. And Southwest is young, but they beat Medina Valley, and it's always good to beat Medina Valley.
Yeah, especially on the side.
But they beat Medina Valley by I think 13 last night and stuff. They're young, but they're very talented. So. There'll be some whims and some things like that with young, kind of like we saw on the football field.
Yep.
But they got some really talented kids that are playing at Southwest too. So it'll be an interesting boys season. I think that both girls teams will be fighting for that 3rd or 4th playoff spot, depending on how things go, and go from there.
Sounds good. Well, that's going to do it for us here at Scoreboard. We talked about the Aquatic Center swimming and diving meets coming up this month, and in February, you have basketball and soccer getting going. Soccer is finally here at Southwest ISD. Everybody's been waiting for it, especially, like I said, with the World Cup going on. So it is here. Go out, support your local Southwest ISD athletics. Go support your niece, nephews, cousins, friends of friends, family friends, everything like that. Support exactly what we're doing. I know I also Want to mention that we do have SWISD night happening at the San Antonio Spurs on January 20th. Check our social media. Discounted tickets are available, with a portion of those tickets going to the Southwest Education Foundation. And if you're in the first 150, you'll get a courtside experience. Some more information's there on the social media of Southwest ISD. For Peter Wagner, I am Brandon Medina. Thank you guys for joining us. This is Scoreboard. We are
Southwest.
Southwest.
3, 2, 1.